That sounds so much different now. Wow, it sounds really good.
Yeah, I've heard it.
You heard it? You can actually hear the frequencies a bit more.
Yeah, you can. It's better.
I mean, that's like a whole drum circle in his hands. You know?
Yeah, I don't know how one guy's doing this much. It's hectic.
But yeah, it's not really related to mushrooms, is it? Although
It is probably somehow. It just is. You can feel it. It is.
I'm still waiting to see a mushroom drum, like mushroom leather drum skin.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
How does he end it?
And his daughter is, that's right, his daughter is Nora Jones.
What? Is she
Yeah.
like some celebrity, like singer?
Yes,
Really
I
good
think.
singer.
I think. Was that, if I'm not mistaken, am I?
Zakir Hussain.
Yeah, Nora Jones or her sister. They're like.
All right, later today. Later, Zakir Hussain.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Peter, welcome. Welcome to Billionaire.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I've heard a lot of good things about you from a mate, Evan, who's just standing right there.
Yeah, he's a good cousin. He's a really good cousin.
I've known that guy since I was 12 years old, man.
I heard. That's like longer than we've known each other for a long time, but to know, you guys got to know each other.
Yeah, I had to put up with him.
Punch-ons and everything.
Oh, no, I'd never, I'd utilize him in a punch-on. I'd be like, Peter, I got to say, you have a really cool, interesting background. And I've been wanting to talk to you about mushrooms for so long. And Evan's always like, oh, I've got a cousin. He's like into mushrooms, and he's like, he's like a mycoengineer and all this stuff. I'm like, God damn. Like, I watch stuff like that all the time on YouTube. Like, I see like the mushrooms breaking down oil spills, or cordyceps mushrooms that they're designing for to take down ant hives. And it's so crazy, man. People forget that there's like 20,000 different types of mushrooms.
I've never been interested in a topic like mushrooms, like all through school. You got all these subjects and everything. I never found it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it. Nothing was interesting me. I was doing like video games and everything. And then then traveling, that was interesting. Traveling, seeing the world, yeah, that was cool. That's interesting. But other than that, work and studies, and then got into mushrooms. It was like, I think 2015, and I was living in Vancouver, and it was a nice exchange period in Vancouver. Great city, beautiful city.
Oh yeah, Canada's beautiful.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest, and you've got mountains, and it's a great area for mushrooms. That's where Paul Stamets as well is. He's
based in.
Yeah, he's doing most of his things in like, I think Oregon, or I don't know. He goes to Vancouver Island a lot, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Host Defense.
That's his
brand,
his company.
Yeah. He uses the not only the fruiting bodies, but he also uses the
mycelium.
Yeah, the mycelium too, which kind of like weakens the.
Oh yeah, there's a huge. So the industry has been
shifty.
You could say like there's been decades of industry, mainly in like. It's been in Asia, but then once it got to the West, I think once the people realized that you didn't actually need to grow the mushrooms, that you could just sort of ferment the substrate, or you could grow the mycelia on the grain, or you could grow the mycelia on the substrate, and then extract that, or just sell that as mushroom biomass without having any label or any like. Anyway, the company that I was working for before. Kappa Biotech in Finland. It was a startup company. One of my friends founded that.
Yep.
Lorin, he's a great guy. He's this big Austrian guy living in Helsinki, mushroom maniac. Like, I mean, if he was here, he's the one you got to talk to. He got me interested in mushrooms. I met him in 2017 when I was in Helsinki, and I went to it's called a sienipäivä, which is in Finnish Mushroom Day.
Oh,
in the city.
that's epic.
And we went to the city centre, and in the city centre there was a nice display of mushrooms on the table, and we were just looking at the mushrooms, and then there was this other room with all of this cool mushroom stuff that wasn't just about mushrooms and the species, and it was these toilet paper rolls with mycelium growing on it, and coffee grounds and buckets, and so there was this company Helsieni, which is based in Helsinki, and they started growing coffee grounds from growing oyster mushrooms from coffee grounds.
Yeah,
that's how they made their business, and they were there, and Lauren was with them. He had his own little consultancy called Mushroom Agent, and I met him there, and he was talking and talking and talking, and he was saying like, oh, you can cigarette butts, they can digest use cigarette butts, and you can fix the bee collapse, colony collapse, you can heal. And I was just like, what? My engineering brain was like, holy shit, this is yeah. And I learnt about how like you can make concrete slabs and reinforced rebar and steel columns and the dimension, all this sort of artificial stuff, which has been great. We've had a good run industrially.
So interesting, man.
Yeah,
so interesting.
And that's how I got into the company through knowing Lauren, and then
sounds like a fun guy.
That company has been to get back to the grant. That company has been really influential, you could say, in the industry to educate or to sort of bring light on this problem of all the products that have been grown on there. All right.
The lifestyle of fungi.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it? Fungi?
Fungi.
Beautiful.
Fungi. Yeah. Yeah, so it's this is pretty much like you've got like basidiomycetes and then ascomycetes. Yeah. The ascomycetes form these spores on their sort of fruiting body, like they literally molds is a great example there.
Yep.
And then the basidiomycetes are the ones that have these clubs or these not clubs,
these white
these
little
caps. Yeah.
What's those white spots on the cap?
That's an isn't that Amanita muscaria there?
Yeah.
Isn't it just when the veil breaks?
Okay.
Because they come out of the ground and they got these bulbs, and then sort of the pigment forms, and then it opens up and the veil breaks, and the white parts are left behind. They wash off. Yep. Then they wash off with the water as well. And so this is sort of like how it works. This is like the circular life thing, the life and death of fungi. So at any stage there's life, and at any stage there's technically no death. Yeah, I mean it can die at any stage. A spore can die, become deactivated. The mushroom can die. But yeah, this is how it works. Spores, they germinate, and then the mycelium. This is what everyone's going crazy about. This mycelium
networks underground.
Future materials and the connection and everything, and then formation of reproductive bodies that then let out the spores again and continue. So we were talking about the products at the start, like. Yeah. This is easy to separate from the substrate, and the mycelium in nature is always growing on a substrate. So if you made a product of the mycelium, you're going to have the substrate in there, except if you had a pure culture. And by pure culture, you can do that. It's a bit technical, but you can grow it on, like, say, liquid culture. If you've heard of liquid cultures, if you filter out the liquid, you're left with pretty much pure mycelium. Other way to do it is have aerial mycelium, which is like sometimes they do it in trays. Ecovative does this. A big company in America. They make they're making bacon and everything. They literally just shave off a big mat of thick pure mycelium, which is growing vertically, aerially.
Wow.
There's some photos of those online and they look nice, but
vertical.
Yeah, so fungi good. As an engineer, I hope like young people interested in engineering and like saving sustainability and everything. Fungi is a great tool or a utility for us humans, as it is in nature. There's countless things that can be done with fungi. There's some good papers. So this was one paper by a German group, how you can have a circular economy with fungal biotechnology.
Yep. Go up. Wait a sec. There's all these different things there. It's like automotive, construction, transport, pharma, food, textiles, computer, aerospace, shipbuilding. They reckon that spores come on asteroids as well.
Yeah, like, we're talking about that bird's nest fungi. I mean, these spores are super tolerant of conditions. They don't need oxygen, or they don't need, any what you would call the fundamentals of life, like water, so they can survive.
Spores are surviving in the so-called the vacuum of space.
Yeah, so it's a great theory, a great hypothesis that, spores maybe came and Earth had the right conditions, and just like throwing seeds onto the ground, and the plants that have the right conditions, they'll take root. Maybe the right conditions were in Earth, and spores formed, and
the rest was history.
But you still need the right conditions.
That's true.
It's like you need the right
setting.
You need the right environment for the life. So maybe it could have happened on Mars, but Mars wasn't the right conditions for it.
Definitely
maybe
not
it was.
Maybe once upon a time, and maybe Elon will terraform it. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Who the hell knows? Maybe the Earth's flat.
Yeah.
I did a podcast. Last podcast was on that.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean.
So what's going on here in this one?
Yeah. So like, you're talking about distillation and brewing and wine. I mean, fungi you use fungi to ferment. You use yeast, beer. All of this uses fungi. You need that for. Yep. You need fungi for bread, to make your bread, to make your cheese, to get your yolk, to ferment your dairy goods. So you can also use, you can use fungi for all these. They've got all these enzymes, so they're literally big chemical enzyme producing organisms, and they're used in industries to create a whole bunch of things. Fuels, medicines. We don't need to do any like.
I see a lot of celluloses around. There's like beverage, there's celluloses in that, biofuel celluloses, biocatalyst celluloses, animal food celluloses.
Yeah, so these
it's just that plant matter that's like the leftover mycelium or
the fungi secrete these enzymes to break down anything. So they'll whatever fuel you give them, they have as tool. They've got these genetics, an amazing genetic capacity to deal with certain conditions. It's almost like you put them in a condition and lo and behold you find a fungi that can deal with it, like the plastic or oils or toxins. That is the amazing thing with the engineering mind point, that if you've got a problem or a challenge, look through the lens of the mushroom, of the fungi, utilize all the fungi capacity that we have, and there'll probably be something that you can solve it there. Instead of working from some human construct, why don't you utilize think of how nature would do it, like nature-based solutions thinking. So
beautiful. It makes the most sense.
Yeah.
To head into this direction.
Yeah.
Honestly, it does.
I think nature-based engineering would yield a lot of nice reconnection to nature, and this is a great image of how fungi interact. It's not about fungi, so it's about dead wood. And in nature, dead wood you would consider dead wood as sort of, a lot of people when they manage their land, they get rid of dead wood. People like to cut their grass, throw the dead grass away. People like to cut down the wood and pile it up, put it in a green bin, or take it to the landfill. And this is a big problem in managed forests. People like to keep their forest floor clean, and that's not the way to do it.
They get rid of it to stop fires, but at the same time, like that essentially needs to rot out to create mycelium.
That's a complex one, especially in Australia, the bushfires and stuff.
Yeah,
but
it is complex.
But in Finland, for example, it's
no bushfires.
Not really. They do have some, but the forests are really clean. They're too clean, and they do a good job of getting rid of dead wood from the forest floor, and that's not healthy for the biodiversity. A natural forest needs all these different layers. And one of the most important layers is this dead wood, because the dead wood, as you can see,
everything's living in it.
Yeah, so that as a tree dies, it usually is dying with fungi already inside it. I mean, even a young tree can be infected with fungi and live another 10, 20, 30 years, standing tall, producing leaves with fungi inside, eating its wood. when a tree dies, you'll see all this soft wood. So the fungi is actually what is softening up all the wood, breaking it down to allow the bugs to then bore into it. In some cases, you have beetles that actually carry, insects that carry fungal spores, and then they'll dig into the bark, and then they'll actually inoculate the wood with the fungi, and then the fungi grows in it. So there's these cool interactions, like your tree outside the citrus trees, the wasps, all those wasp schools.
Oh my God, yeah, those gal wasps.
But are they doing it because they like to nest there, or are they doing it because the fungi, they've got some interesting fungi insect relationship going on?
We don't know.
Yeah, like with the ants, all these ant nest fungi cultivation connections are really interesting. So
there they are.
So and then you've got the polypore mushrooms and many mushrooms that fruit off dead wood, and then the animals that feed. There's some great research looking at the connections between animals and fungi, that a lot of birds, lizards, many different animals need the fungi to nest in trees. They need that softwood to get in there, and so that's a great image. And the Kew Botanical Gardens has a great
the Kew Botanical Gardens here in Victoria. Kew.
No, in England, UK. Yeah, they're kind of like the biggest proponent of biodiversity. I guess they have this report every 2 or 3 or 4 years where they look at the state of the world's plants, state of the world's fungi, and they do have these great infographics. So you can see here,
2.5 million different types of fungi.
Estimation behind invertebrates. But you look at animals, vertebrate animals and plants. I mean, and
it's big.
We don't know that many. We only know 155,000 of those. So if they assume that there's 450,000 species of plants, and we've looked at most of them, and look at
2.5 million. I never would have thought there was that many. I thought there was like 20,000
species
of mushrooms.
Oh yeah,
they already got 155,000.
Yeah.
The hell have I been?
I mean, that's all molds and everything, and so great resource in those Q state of the world. And
this
is sort of what I'm looking at. So my studies, my area of research is materials, mycelium materials, making acoustic panels. Actually, that's my end goal. So I really want to make
acoustic panels.
Mushrooms. That's cool. It's kind of the
bring some here. I'll use them on the walls.
Yeah, I was looking at these and it's the main. So the highest. Usually, when these new innovations come to market, it's the highest value. What's the highest value you can
from
get?
The thing itself.
So like cosmetics, for example. If you come up with something, you'd probably go for cosmetics because you can sell it at a really high price.
Or even like health and longevity.
Yeah, supplements and number two sort of thing. If you're going to do mycelium materials, acoustic panels is probably the strongest entry point, as well as the mushrooms are quite porous, like we were talking about, and good at absorbing sound, and also very good thermal
mass.
So this is a common polypore mushroom. This is common in Finland, but most polypores growing on trees. You'll see, especially in Australia, there's this Felina species. It grows a lot, but inside it's really interesting. So it kind of grows out and then grows down. And this is like a photo of the bottom, thanks to Javi, a friend from Finland. And this is what the little tube. So this is taken underneath that area there, which the bugs love, by the way. These are great little insect homes. So whenever you see one of these, most of the time you got worms or bugs or going in there. So
they help spreading the spores.
Yeah, they're going in there. Their spores are attaching to them, but they're also just living in there. Maybe they're eating, whatever they're doing. So it's really cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
These are like honeycomb tubes. So researchers are looking into like how, why this happens. So it kind of grows out of the tree and then it sort of goes down in these honeycomb tube sort of structures and
some hexagonal kind of.
Yeah, it's literally honeycomb structure, and it creates this.
It's beautiful.
This sort of transfer of, you got this surface area, so there's all these spore dispersal units running up the mushroom or the. And that's going a bit more into chemistry, but this sort of they looked into the different physical properties of these.
So is that over there where it says surface 1? that's a slice.
Yeah, it's like a
of
slice along
vertical
the
slice of what it looks like.
along the tube.
That's pretty crazy.
And this diagram here, I guess they show the the tubes, the different parts of the material. Sort of they fit in between leather, foams. This is strength. So Young's modulus is like how strong a material is. You got metals, ceramics. So it kind of it fits in kind of nicely into here, which is, you got leather.
It's a good area to be
foams.
in.
Yeah,
It's a very good area to be in.
Polymers, plastics. So yeah, it just shows that, all right, this natural form of the mushroom is really strong. It functions like other human-made materials. So yeah, we're kind of looking into how to use that, and yeah,
That's awesome. That is so good.
this was just a random interesting innovation from this year that got published by a unit working with NASA, and they came up with this patent method of growing mushrooms literally from a ceramic. So this is just ceramic material.
Wow.
So like ceramic pylon.
Microponics.
Yeah, and they're just pumping liquid culture directly into it, and they're fruiting mushrooms. So no need for a solid substrate, but they're getting fruiting bodies, because that's been a big problem. And what I was thinking is, like, imagine combining this with hydroponics or plants growing, where you've got these systems already in place. Yeah. Could you pump mycorrhizal fungi in and grow like other mushrooms that require the plant rhizome or the plant root to grow? Because a big mystery in mushroom cultivation for decades in Japan and stuff, how do you grow maitake mushrooms? How do you grow chanterelles, bolete mushrooms? Because they need
They're so hard
the trees.
to grow.
Yeah, they grow in
I tried to grow them in the backyard. It didn't work. My mate's like, why are you even bothering? I'm like, I don't know. I'll give it a go. And then it didn't work. And then I looked into it. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Sorry, I meant Matsutake. This is like
Matsutake,
the most prized in Japan. Or some of these sell for like, I don't know, 200,000 a kilo or something.
What?
Like
God dang.
if they're picked in. But yeah, these need
200,000 a kilo.
These need specific conditions to grow, and no one's figured out how to grow them artificially.
Wait, and they're that big?
So they can be really, really small, like little. Yeah.
So one of them, how much would one of them be worth? Like in that little bento box there, what's that? 400 grand.
Yeah, I mean, the Chinese and Japanese, they have this interesting take on like an extract or a mushroom. If it's from the right producer or environment, they'll pay like $1 million for. Yeah, they have this interesting view on how to value things.
It's like rhino horn.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. They have it's an interesting, but they're very like, I mean, the oldest medicinal book was from China, yeah? This Taoist, what is it, Materia Medica. Have you heard of this?
The Materia Medica? No, I haven't.
It's, is that what it was called?
Materia Medica. A Latin term for the history of pharmacy.
Yeah, anyway, it's like literally like an encyclopedia of medicinal substances from China. Like the oldest
medicine.
Yeah, the oldest compendium, which still hasn't been translated, I think, like properly. Like it's had some amateur translations, but
wow, hopefully they can use AI to translate it quick smart.
Yeah, what year was it? I can't remember.
1980. I know, 1800s. That was just the illustration from the 1800s edition. 1596, the compendium lists the Materia Medica of traditional Chinese medicine known at the time, including plants, animals, and minerals that were believed to have medicinal properties. It's pretty good.
Yeah, but they like compiling a bunch of information from ancient China.
And there were mushrooms in that as well.
Yeah, so
Heaps
much.
of mushrooms.
It's there's volumes. They're huge. I wanted to buy it, but haven't.
I wouldn't even.
Yeah, would like to.
Yeah. And there's so much. There's so much out there.
Yeah.
This is my mate's company. It's called 3i.
Oh, is this an Australian?
Yeah, they're an
company?
Australian company, and they're
cool.
Really good friends of mine.
Cool. I just knew about Life Cycle. So this is a new up and coming.
So like these are Fulvic and humic mineral concentrates, but that one, which one are you holding?
I've got the Australian cultivated lion's mane fruiting body and mycelium extract with Fulvic and humic mineral concentrate.
I think that's called Brain. That's my favorite. I always take that. I feel a bit smarter when I'm taking it.
Could I try some?
Oh, of course you can. Evan, do you reckon you can get us some glasses? Thank you. Yeah, thanks, bro. You just popping under that camera.
Evan's got to try this too.
Yeah, bring a glass for yourself as well, Evan. Now,
Interesting.
this one here is immune. So they've got immune.
It's got shiitake and maitake. I don't know what has it got in it. Right.
I think it.
Oh, it's got the reishi.
Yeah,
Okay.
And then gut has turkey tail.
Oh, yeah.
Tail jewel extract.
It's nice to see some different take on it. You know, this is really, it's different and.
Well, my mate who created this, he's like an admin on the shroomery, and he's always on the identification pages, and
nice.
you know, he's like the most mycological person that I know.
I think the shroomery it's like a database of knowledge that.
Thank you, Evan.
There's a lot of stuff on the shroomery, but I think many times I've gone on there and I've found some really interesting threads and discussions on things that could be like research ideas or that haven't been like you could say officially researched or business innovation.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, shroomery is great.
So
this is really dark. Like
so you just drop it into the water.
So wouldn't recommend straight under the tongue or?
If you mix it in water, it's probably the best. I've only done that.
Okay. Oh my, it's so clean here that I don't want to
drop it. It looks pretty cool when you do that though. All right, I'll have some gut.
That looks great.
Oh, my guts. Now that camera's turned off too. They died so quickly. It's a shame.
What were they for?
Lighting.
To capture the sweat beads on
on my face. Yeah.
What was I going to show? I was kind of just interested to show, like, you know, whenever you grow mushrooms indoor, you've got this substrate, and then, you know, that substrate could be anything.
Yeah,
it could be.
Could be rye. It could be flour.
Yeah, waste, newspaper, cardboard, anything lignocellulose, which is.
Cellulose.
That's plant. That's like plant biomass.
Matter.
But even if there's mushrooms now that people have grown like on old clothing, and they're really good at.
Well, they're growing mushrooms on oil spills.
Oil spills, yeah.
So
plastics, and
I think it's well, you just got to make sure that if they're putting it in.
Yeah, you don't want to eat it.
Yeah, you don't want to eat it.
Yeah, that's.
But what happens to a mushroom? Just say if the mushroom that kind of absorbs the oil spill and then has a fruiting body, like.
Yeah, they've.
It's not like they're serving it up at a Michelin restaurant or anything, you know. What I mean?
Yeah.
They're just gonna. What do they do with it?
That's the thing. I think that's one of the dilemmas. Maybe people don't talk about as much when they're saying they can clean up. Say there's this one Myco Buoy. Yeah. I think this was one of. I think Paul Stamets was also talking about this a lot.
Myco Buoy.
Myco Buoy. You could say remediation. Buoy. No, that's not it. Yeah, and so they were using these sort of mycelium blocks. I don't even know where we can find it. Make room for
these were mycelium buoys, technically.
Yeah, they
were buoys made out of, or buoys.
Yeah,
made out of mycelium.
Yeah, so they float because mycelium is it's right now it's being used mainly for acoustic panels because of they kind of they're a biomimic of plastic foam. They're very porous. Yeah, so. Wow. When you dry them, so say you grow a bag of mushroom, and that's the substrate. Once you dry that, it's super lightweight.
Yep.
And filled with porous sort of. So if you can make that water hydrophilic or like water repellent, so it doesn't take up water, then that will float like plastic. But when it fruits the mushrooms, then it just transfers absorbs the toxins or the pollutants from in the environment. Yeah. It'll just fruit them out again. So that's it's difficult.
Is it slowly breaking down
the
oil in more and more processes, or it's essentially still there?
Yeah, I think
like the microplastics or the crude oil or something? Like, is it able to break it down, utilize it as energy, and kind of like
yeah. So it's better than the material staying there. I think the cycling, any cycling is good.
yeah,
You see that a lot in like constructed wetlands. Like say when they close mine sites,
Yeah.
one really good thing that they can do actually is put a natural wetland there that even though it's cycling the pollutants and it's not really getting rid of them, but it's just that mode of cycling, I think is good.
Yeah.
It helps.
That's why they triple distill vodka. You know what I mean? It's the aspect of cycling is going to help just detoxify everything and just get it back to that natural state
Is it
as much as possible. I'm guessing.
I haven't gotten into distillation that much, but that's cool to know.
I'm guessing that's what helps with purity. And from a purity perspective, like cycling would be the same kind of thing, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. That, like, as an example of just trying to just clean up the clean up the sea.
Yeah. You were saying oil spill, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, the petroleum problem. Fungi Perfecti is also Paul Stamets' site. So he does host defense, but he also has this Fungi Perfecti. So yeah, makers of host defense mushrooms.
Yeah, no shit.
And they were talking about oil spill disaster and the potential for micro remediation. Yeah, he's got a good book. This Mycelium Running.
Mycelium Running. I've got a few of his books. I've got Growing Gourmet and Medicinal Mushrooms, and
this one's this is the first.
I've
first
got
one
that.
I got into.
It's
You
just
got
on
it?
the other. It's on one of my other shelves.
Yeah,
Well,
you know
it could be. Is it over there? No, it's not. It's somewhere.
Good book nonetheless.
I haven't read it yet. I just bought it, and then you know when you just buy a book and it's just sitting on the bookshelf and waiting to be read.
It looks nice.
Yeah.
Well, like this one. This one's my sister just got me this one. Thanks, Katie.
Oh, that's a nice book.
Yeah, this just got released this year.
Oh wow, it feels brand new. That's the Mushroom Color Atlas.
Yeah,
That'd be great for
So-
helping identify different mushies. I don't want to even open it. It's so beautiful.
No, go for it. It's beautiful inside. Like
Yeah?
it's got. Yeah, it's honestly a great. I saw it and I'm like, this will be a great coffee table book. But what it does is this lady, this
Look at all the different colors of mushrooms, guys.
Miss Bieler, she's done a great work here. Hats off to her because she's years of working with dyes, natural dyes, and she's collated this with a few species and linked the species to the colors, the pigments you can get from those mushrooms. And you can get whole ranges of different, like...
That's hectic. It reminds me of like a Dulux color chart.
It literally, it's the future. Of, I think Dulux have got to get on this.
Oh,
Otherwise
mate,
they're
I'm going to
go
have
out
to
of
get on this
business.
before Dulux gets on it. Vasili's colors, mate.
Yeah,
Nah.
nature-based...
Nature-based colors and just do it lime wash.
Because, in the textile industry, one of the biggest problems is the dyes and the artificial... The pollutants from textile. It's a huge problem. So
True.
if you can bio make those, then... And they're really easy to make. She's got the way to make it, the methodology, and it's good stuff.
Beautiful.
You can paint your next house with mushrooms.
Oh, mate, wouldn't that be a treat? Imagine how much the paint would cost though. It'd be like $1,000 a liter.
And potentially bioactive paint. Paints that have different. Maybe you can have a paint that has a medicinal aroma, or it's just like
anti-mold.
Yeah,
literally a host defense paint.
Yeah,
it's going to defend you from spores or certain like mold's a big problem. That's a huge problem when it comes to painting and in people's houses that they don't even realize that there's mold all over the glass. There's a lot of condensation that happens and then mold just spreads.
Do you encounter that a lot?
A lot. I've built up a really good immunity as a result of having to clean so much bloody mold.
What color is it?
Black.
It's the black
mold. I spray it with mold killer and then I wipe it down with castor oil, and that fully kills it 100%.
I went to this conference, mushroom conference, international mycological conference. It was in Netherlands this year, and there was a talk. Wow. There was a talk on these molds. One person was from a museum. I can't remember which country. It was like Belgium or something, somewhere in Northern Europe. And they were working on the archive, so the archival section of the museum in the basement, the stuff that wasn't on the main viewing section. And they didn't know that there was this invisible mold growing on everything down there.
Invisible mold?
Yeah, even though they had really low humidity, you wouldn't think anything would grow down there, and they kept everything nice and clean. Someone went down with a flashlight and shined the flashlight like at a very 180 degree almost angle, and they saw these little cultures formed on everything. So this mold was growing on everything, and one of the old guys working there apparently he was retiring soon, but it probably got some health issues from that. But they were talking about how these molds can survive up to like as low as like 0 point something % humidity, which is unbelievable because that's
nuts.
where are they getting their moisture from to grow? But
how can they survive?
And super easily dispersed. Their spores, so they sporulate, and their spores just you just walk past and whoosh.
That's
and
enough wind for them to just
travel.
Wow.
Yeah. So
really cool. It's interesting how they can adapt and survive. Well, they say mushrooms or fungi have been on this planet for a very long time, longer than the trees.
Oh yeah, I mean, this other talk was talking about bird's nest. So the bird's nest fungi, and this guy was from. I think he was from. Oops, not Australian women's clothing. But
that's the next venture of the mushrooms into Australian women's clothing.
But yeah, this one. So this really nice fungi that it forms this like nest like thing with these.
Click into the picture, make it bigger so everyone can see it.
How do you do that? Oh, this one.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that looks like oysters or something, like a mussel or something. It's strange.
That's its fruiting body, and it forms these little things which hold like they're really so that this guy from Michigan, his whole research project was testing the strength of these little pellets. And it was a great research project because he was burning them.
Yeah.
He was incinerating them. He was shining a whole range of UV light. He put them to like negative 270 degrees or something. He was putting them to the elements.
Everything. And
they were surviving. So they had these pellets have very strong like physiology, and that's survival, So that they can be, the spores can be transferred.
Adapt to really harsh conditions.
Yeah. And that was a great research project.
I bet.
But as I was going to ask you about the paint, because you got the experience with the mold. Do you think it's a lack of natural light in design? That if you had more natural lighting, sunlight coming in. I asked the guy at the museum, is it because in the basement of the museum you've got no natural light there? Is the fungus sort of
Well, it could be the case, but I also find I also find mold, it's a fungus, in direct path of natural light, and it will be like generally like I remember Evan's windows when I helped him paint his house. There was a lot of mold, right? And it kind of like attaches itself in between where the glass is and then where the timber is. And right in that like join, that area is when it'll build up a really thick layer, and then it'll slowly work its way up the glass. So then it's on the glass. It's on the glass, light's coming through the glass, but it's still growing on the glass. Yeah. So it is hitting light.
Yeah. So humidity and
it's got the humidity. It's got the all the right aspects for it to be able to kind of flourish.
Yeah.
But yeah, castor oil kills it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Castor oil is like one of those wonder drugs that wonder oils that just do everything. It's pretty cool.
What's it made of, castor oil?
Castor oil is, I think it's the castor plant or something. I don't know.
It sounds, I don't think I've ever used it in cooking, but it sounds like it's probably not healthy to make, but
probably not for cooking, but
it looks really healthy in these pictures.
That's the castor.
It looks like a chestnut.
Yeah, a bit like that.
It's like a hairy testicle.
Yep, it actually does. That's hilarious. That's all right. In terms of psychedelics, going back to psychedelics, what was the first psychedelic that you experimented with?
First one was, LSD. Yeah. I
Interesting.
mean, if you call marijuana psychedelic, but
Very mild psychedelic, I'd say.
yeah.
Yeah.
There were a lot of in Vancouver, especially. It's quite a. That city was, at least in Melbourne, I didn't experience it. It's probably very prevalent in Melbourne, but in Vancouver, it was. It's kind of. I felt like schoolies go out, you get pretty drunk and stuff, but there it seemed like a lot of young people were getting into Molly pills and all that, and and also the cannabis there is legal, so you could kind of go to a cafe. Then I remember the New Amsterdam cafe, you could go there and just smoke, and they were selling a lot of oils were going around. So if before lectures, you take a dropper of oil under the tongue and
lovely.
But yeah, we would I think in 2015 New Year's Eve I tried MDMA for the first time.
Wow.
And that was a really great experience. I know a lot of people have bad experiences with these substances, but for me it was a really great experience. And we tried it a couple more times in the next year, and then also the LSD was a very interesting sort of. Yeah, it was a mind opener. It was the first time that. I just remember doing it in those times. Just that weird. You kind of think, I get it. Oh my god, it makes sense.
Yeah,
everything. All this,
100%.
all these psychedelic references. They start
making
you're like,
sense.
What the hell?
Now I get it.
Is this like a and I know it's quite
cosmic
naive
joke in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of like naive and stuff to think that, but it was at the time it was like really life changing. It was like. It's not as complex or like so far away from. It's right here. Like it's that experience, and then all these references. You can sort of share the connection, the human connection through it. And I remember feeling that a lot. And yeah, we would do a lot of these trips. And so I didn't get into mushrooms until after those, and realizing that people talk about psilocybin the same way, and then I started looking for psilocybin mushrooms. And I remember on a hike in, I think it was Crown Mountain. Is it Crown Mountain? It was beautiful. One of the BC hikes. Yeah, and I remember I got some photos on top of this thing. It's a bit scary up there, but like nice view. You can see like the sea in the background, and then you can actually see Vancouver down at the bay. And yeah, so on the way back down from this hike, I just remember lagging behind everyone. I'm a bit of a slow hiker. My partner Sarah is really fast, and I'm usually slow.
Mm-hmm.
She's really big in hiking. She goes wilderness hiking in Lapland. 25 k's a day. Like,
oh wow,
no phone.
Isn't there bears and stuff out there?
Yeah, a little bit, but
not
Finland's pretty safe. Yeah, the only thing that can get you in Finland is ticks. Fungi. Or ticks.
Oh, ticks, like in the water or just brushing up against a plant or something, and then it's sucking your blood.
Yeah, but they're more on the coastal grasses, not so much in the forest.
What does it do? What does it do?
I think Lyme disease is the worst thing.
Oh,
if they're pretty big, you got to get I think they have punky shots or tick shots and
punky shots.
Yeah.
So if you get one, you got to get a shot ASAP quickly, or
I think if you don't have the Lyme disease. I can't remember. I think I remember reading that there's two, or hearing that there's two diseases. Yeah. But they're like brain rot disease or something. They're pretty bad.
Jeez.
I don't know. We'd have to Google what they do.
A brain rot disease from a tick.
Yeah, it's this little thing, and yeah, we've had ticks on us before, and it's a bit
scary.
I think if you get that circle, they say if you get a circle around the tick bite, that's the concern. That's when
cut it out. Cut your leg off or something.
I don't
Throw
know.
it in the bin.
Yeah, but yeah,
that's hectic.
But yeah, coming down from this hike, and I picked this mushroom. I took a photo of it. I have it on Google Photos. When Google reminds you of these.
Yeah.
And I took a photo of this mushroom, and it was so not a Liberty cap. I thought I was looking for a Liberty cap, and it wasn't. It had like brown gills, and it was flimsy, non-fibrous stem, and
those smushy, non-fibrous stems.
Yeah. When you find them, you know them forever. Like it's crazy because not all mushrooms are like that, but I feel like it's hit and miss. But I feel like every time you find a psilocybe mushroom,
Psilocybe
it's
mushroom.
like there's something. There
There's
are
a
some
density about that stalk. It's got
Yeah.
that certain density, that feeling, and and then it goes blue, and you're like,
yeah,
"Where's more? Where's more?"
yeah,
You pick all of them. But you got to be careful when you pick them. You don't want to kind of rip it out of the ground. You want to leave that little bit of mycelium in the ground, so then it can
Oh, yeah.
regrow and spore and kind of fruit again. Because sometimes I
Yeah.
see people just ripping them out of the ground. I'm like, no,
yeah,
you got to pinch it,
yeah,
pinch it, and pull it out nicely, or cut it with the scissors. Be respectful to the mycelium.
yeah. I guess it's interesting that they like those council wood chips. You know, I remember when we were down at
They do.
Tarwin Lower with my partner. We were at Tarwin Lower near even Venus Bay because my parents have a place down there, and
Yep.
and they were growing all around the kids' park. You know, and you know how it is on the wood chips.
Yeah, they love it. They
Yeah.
love wood chips.
And they grow next to that red one, that red cap, isn't it? That iconic.
The saffron milk-cap, or
There's this.
the amanita. No,
Whenever you're in the season of the sub season, there's always
Yeah.
these red cap mushrooms growing on the wood chips. If you see those red cap ones,
yeah. What do they look
um,
like? What are they called? Brain fog. I've got to take some of that 3-hour brain. Where is it?
Yeah. Oh, that's not. Yeah, I think that's it. So red wood chip fungi. Every time I see this red wood chip fungi,
Oh wow,
I think it's that one. Yeah,
that's hectic.
it
Well, look at the stick. Oh, look at that stinkhorn. Oh, is it stick? Oh, it's not stinkhorn fungus. That
Stinkhorn.
one. That's hectic.
Yeah. You could do like maybe.
So they call Lariodimyces. Some of these names of the mushrooms are really hard to pronounce, man. Fuck. It's hectic.
But yeah, they grow. I think they grow quite. Every time I've found the subs, and which is not many because I don't live here anymore, but they grow very commonly next to these.
Yes.
You see them; they're a bit more reddish. Anyway, I don't know where you find them because there's the wild ones too. You know?
I got my spots, but I will not say them here.
Yeah.
No, not in this area.
Yeah.
Not in this this setting.
Yeah.
Setting. But yeah,
You pick
It is
you'd pick every year, or you go looking. Oh, well, it's not legal here, so it's kind of like you just photograph them every year.
look, I just hang around them and then I leave, but I don't collect any, man. You know,
It's the smart way to do it.
I just go for hikes and walks, and then
Inhaling the
fresh oxygen, going on a hike, and then not
Yeah.
carrying around Coles Market bags or anything.
Well, there's a great documentary from the 80s.
Yep.
On subs, Australian documentary. It's great. Yeah, the Ballingup. Sorry.
That's right, Ballingup. Yeah, the Fungimentary. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ballingup. Yeah.
Sorry, what did I say? Bungaroo.
Boonaroo, Bungaroo or Boonaroo. Nah.
So, yeah,
I remember that.
yeah, that's a
that's
cool. one.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that. You probably can't play it here because it'll probably flag it as a copyright thing or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What was I going to say? There's been a lot of a lot of developments in the mushroom space, especially with psilocybin and the ability to help people with PTSD and depression and anxiety, and kind of like help people with these mental blocks that they have in their life. It's been, I guess, really beneficial for me. The first time I did psilocybin mushrooms was with a friend. We went to Tasmania. So we went to Tasmania. We went to an old growth forest that was like an ancient forest with like these super massive trees, and like the trees were like the size of this room in thickness, and they were just oozing out all this like goo, but it looked super healthy. Yeah, it's like little ferns were growing off the bark of it, and it was just so we stumbled upon some mushrooms and we decided to have them. And
I guess you knew what you were eating.
yeah, we happened to bump into some psilocybins, so then we took some each, and I think it was like about, I don't know, maybe like 1.5 grams each or something. It's pretty big dose for like someone that's not really done it before. And we were just like walking in this ancient forest, and I was just like, I felt like I was telepathically communicating with these trees. I was like, hey, these guys all right. Or, you know, like, it was just strange. I've never felt anything like that before. Like that I could potentially be able to communicate with a plant.
Yeah.
But after I had psilocybin, I was like, okay, this is possible. You can actually bridge the gap in a way.
It's crazy.
And I think I was like 22 when I did that, maybe 2022, something like that, around then.
That changed everything.
It changed everything for me, man. I became like mainly psychedelic. I kind of stopped on all the other stuff.
So it was a good experience, you would say?
I'd say it was an extremely positive experience and an eye-opening and very introspective experience at the same time.
Was there any fear when you had that experience, like of getting caught or, you know, the whole conditioning?
I was driving a manual little I-20, Hyundai I-20 around the Tasmanian.
You were in the outback though, yeah, in the wilderness part, or you were away from?
I was smack bang like somewhere in the middle of Tasmania, like I think around Sheffield and around like where Cradle Mountain is, around
so,
there.
Yeah, not a place where you'd think, oh, the cops. What if the cops see us? Or,
Nah,
all this sort
rural
of
area. Yeah.
That's the way. That's where you got to do it. It can't. It's like
100%.
I just remember time and time again this paranoia. Like paranoia is it's the big killer for a lot of people's experiences. Of course, there's the one, those tragic stories of someone jumping off which.
Or the Beef Wellington lady. Did you hear about the Beef Wellington lady?
No, I don't want to laugh, but it sounds funny. But it's not funny, I guess.
It's diabolical. It's definitely not funny. So, I don't know, you would have been in Finland. It happened last year. This lady, she cooked up her in-laws a Beef Wellington, right? Which is like a sausage roll, but like with an eye fillet, wrapped in pastry or something. And she had these mushrooms and she put the death caps.
You were telling me about this one.
She put death caps in it, man.
Yeah.
And...
Well, that's
the rest is history. Everyone died.
I mean,
except her because she didn't eat it, and then she went to jail.
Yeah,
because they found out she did it.
Yeah, well,
but that gives mushrooms a bad name. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
mycophobia.
That adds more fire to the flame of mycophobia, which is the worst thing possible. It's just like get educated on it, understand that there's heaps of plants that can kill you, but people aren't scared of plants. People are vegans. They only eat plants and mushrooms. But when it comes to this mycophobia, it's almost like if someone's got a little bit of it, they'll be like, nah, I'm not having any mushrooms. There's like a full like just no to all mushrooms. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because they're just like a plant in its own right. They're a whole different single-celled organism that's been existing for millennia.
Yeah, and I mean, there was also that 96 or 7-year-old lady who had a death cap as well.
What?
Recently? I think it was a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, I was telling Evan, it's sad that she passed. She had family, she had friends. But at that age, I mean, what a way to go with a mushroom. I mean,
with a death cap. She took a death cap.
Yeah, I think she was picking in her front lawn or something with was it her son or her grandchild or something? I don't know. It was a weird another one. But again, with the magic mushrooms, like they're not very dangerous. I mean, unless you got some gastro or gut related issue. My cousin also had a milk cap, saffron milk cap, and she ended up in hospital. My guess is that it had some slug on it, or it had gone bad, or there was something else that was wrong with it.
Something rancid that mucked around with it, because the saffron milk cap's like...
It's a choice edible, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good, as long as it's fresh and it's not a little bit slimy or a slug's gone on it, like you said.
Yeah. So
collected
I don't know.
heaps of them.
I think like most of those experiences are pretty good. But if it's in the city, then you've got other issues. There's the whole... one time I was doing a self trip. I was living in this town called Mustia, which is like 2 hours west of Helsinki. When I was working for the mushroom company, when were starting off, they were at a bank, an old bank vault. It was an old bank, and the mushroom lab was in the vault on the basement.
That's really cool.
In the actual the vault door was open. The lab setup was actually in that heavy duty vault, and there was a sauna and a shower room next to it, and we were washing tubs there and stuff. And I was living upstairs. I was living above, and next door there were two Finnish guys that were living either side. And when I decided to do this trip during the day on a weekend, thinking, okay, they're, what are they going to be doing there?
What were they doing?
Well, it turns out I didn't know at the time, but they're night workers and like postmans, and so I'm like my mistake. I was thinking I'd take it inside and go outside for a walk, but I think when you start in a certain setting, and there was a lot of things going on, and then just hearing like maybe not in a good stage, but hearing footsteps and the doors close, and then. Because I don't know what noises I was making in that room. I didn't know if I was having a transcendental experience, if I was dying or having a seizure.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the times that you don't know if, I think having a trip guide or someone else to check the reality is really important.
It's very important, man.
But at the same time, if I was outside, because when I did go outside and I took my guitar and I rode the bike to a hillside, I used to just go out into the forest and
Beautiful.
And it was great, yeah. I really discovered music doing that. That was fine, but it was that first period thinking, this paranoia and guilt sets in. But I think if people do it in nature outside,
it's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for like if someone's a first timer or they're just getting used to it. It's just like get out in nature, right, and reconnect. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And then if you want to kind of like do it inside, get a bit of experience under your belt, because if you're going to do it inside, you got to have the right setting. You're probably going to need a trip guide depending on how hard you're going to go. And you're going to need a comfortable place to be. And you're also going to need two things are important, especially when you start diving deeper, is the ability to fully surrender. You need to fully surrender to what's coming and, the plant medicine.
Yeah, and it's tough if you don't take enough, because which is difficult. It's a difficult thing to comprehend. That actually, I think it's interesting.
Macrodosing.
Yeah, because I think some people don't need to take more, but other people maybe need to take more. Other people probably don't even. They talk about ego death. Like people have these like thresholds. They say 300 milligrams or 3,000.
Yep.
Micrograms for LSD, and then with the mushrooms they say 5 grams in the dark. What does Terence McKenna say? And
5 grams,
in the dark room. And that's what he says. But like,
I did 5 grams. I didn't get ego death.
Yeah, it's like,
but they were golden teachers, and then I had subs, 5 grams, and then I felt it a lot more.
Yeah,
then, you do cubensis.
Yeah. Yeah, the dosage, and then you got body weights and body surface area and all these different, and then mental strength. Like some people there are some really stubborn, proud people. It's hard, they've got a very strong mental.
They're gonna fight it.
They're gonna fight it. And I think I think it's and I think that hasn't been researched as well. Like how well someone can fight it off. And is more better or worse? Does it cause more tension, or when does it release? Where's the release point? And maybe they don't need the mushroom for the release. Maybe they need music, or maybe they need a dance, or maybe they need the words of affirmation, or there's all these other things that together with the psychedelic,
to help them open up,
open up and let go. Yeah, like the shamanics, there was always something happening. It's not just like. Terence McKenna, he's do it in the dark, eyes closed, and stay in your room and do 5 grams.
He's a crazy bastard, though.
It worked for him, but if everyone,
work for everybody.
I tried it, it didn't. How do I know it worked? That's the thing, because maybe it did work, or maybe it didn't. It obviously. Then I say it didn't work for me because I didn't see the machine elves, and it wasn't a blissful experience. But maybe
that's not what you needed at that point of time.
Yeah,
you got what you needed. Because I've facilitated a few times, and I remember one vividly. There was one guy that I was facilitating for, and he was fighting it the whole time. He did not want to let it have any control over him. And for 2.5 hours, he was fighting it. You could see it in his face. He was just... putting himself in unnecessary pain the whole time. And I ended up like asking him a couple of days after it, I go, how did you feel? You know, what's going on? Like, how was your experience? How'd you go? And he said,
It's great.
he said he felt better after it,
Yeah.
but he was fighting it the whole time. He didn't allow it to kind of work its magic. But he still said he felt better because this guy was suicidal. This guy was, he wanted to end his life. So after doing it, he didn't feel like ending his life anymore. But it sounds like he had a lot of stuff going on. So he was fighting it. But just on his face, like the way that he was fighting it, it looked like he was in pain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but I think since then he's done it again and he didn't fight it. So maybe he learnt from the first time, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because definitely he had some trauma and maybe something new, trying to help him, guide him through that trauma and maybe help him transmute it, you know, kind of like, hey, what the hell's this? It's an entity, get away from me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these substances like enter. Was it the TGA recently just approved MDMA and psilocybin a couple years ago or something?
Yep.
But
That's
now
right.
there's a shortage of counselors or therapists that are trained in psychedelic assisted therapy. I think was it Mind Map or Mind
Map.
Medicine?
Mind medicine. Yeah, I was thinking mind medicine. You said mind map.
Yeah, they were doing trainings in Australia. I was telling my friend Mark, who's a counselor, I was saying, hey, like you've done psychology, get this training. Like this is going to be a demand market, and here it is. Like, yeah, we're short of therapists that are trained in psychedelic assisted therapy. Like,
I said I'm not a therapist, but
Yeah.
I've had a lot of experience. Like,
yeah, they should maybe open it up for you know.
I'm more of a shamanic background than a therapeutic background, but you know,
I prefer that. I think that's more.
I think a lot of people do prefer
grounded.
that. You know, it's just it's not regulated. You know, I've been to Peru. I've learnt from shamans over in Peru, especially with ayahuasca, and that's a lot more powerful than psilocybin. That's for sure. It's a whole nother beast in itself. I guess that's like the representative of the plant kingdom.
Were you
from
scared?
the Amazon.
Were you scared going there? Like, you know, it's a long way to go, and you know you're gonna do it, and there's a lot of preempting the.
I think I kept myself so busy with so many other activities while I was in South America that I didn't get time to really be scared.
Yeah.
Like the time that I had to use to kind of like, I just used it to journal and to get what I wanted out of it. So I was just journaling about what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to experience, what I wanted to bring up to the entities.
Yeah, so you wouldn't just like plan a trip around an ayahuasca. You'd have maybe like, oh, you're going to go travel there a bit, do a bit of that, and then the ayahuasca sort of in between, or because a lot of people just go there for
Specifically
that,
just for
and
that.
it's a lot of pressure, I think, on an experience.
Yeah, definitely. See, I started off in Chile, and then I worked my way up through the Atacama Desert, and then like through the Andes Mountains on 4-wheel drive treks, like in Land Cruisers, and caught a couple planes. I ended up in Bolivia, and then from Bolivia I flew another plane to Cusco, and then from there I kind of like went off into the Amazon.
Nice.
So yeah, I kept myself busy, but that was the most powerful experience I've ever had. And after doing that, it's like ayahuasca is not something that, oh yeah, you do it and then every weekend you want to do it. It's like, no, like you do that and then you're shit scared of it for a long time. You don't feel like doing it for a long time. It's different to mushrooms. It's so much different than mushrooms, man.
Yeah, I haven't tried it. I'd love to.
I've done it here a few times, but it wasn't strong here.
Homebrew or something.
Just whatever it wasn't strong. Whatever they do here, it's not the same. So I'd done it a few times here, and then I jumped on a plane and I went to Peru, and I booked it in during like all the other stuff that I was doing. And then I broke off away from like the group because I was with a couple other friends. Did my ayahuasca trip, and then rejoined back in with the crew and went to Machu Picchu and kind of like just did that. And then
How do you feel it compares to your San Pedros out the you know.
I did some San Pedro there as well. So it was
Yeah.
like in Peru, it was like it's a 5-day ceremony. So the first day is just like an introduction, kind of like chill out. You're not allowed to eat for 4 days. So you're getting pretty hungry. You're getting a bit like agitated because you're like, fuck, I need to eat. And then the second day you have the grandmother, the first round of ayahuasca.
Okay.
And then the second day you have another round. So you have 2 days in a row of having like 2 cups.
Damn.
And these cups are probably 10 times stronger than whatever was in Australia. It's definitely watered down here. So
Was there any people that didn't want to do it the second day? Like, geez, the first day
there was only
enough,
2 of
or-
us too, because it was like really, really intimate. Like the shaman was an indigenous guy. He like held the circle really well. It felt like he had a force field around us.
How did you feel that before taking that second one? Were you like ready? All right, let's do it. Or were you like, shit, I don't know.
I'm freaking out because I'm just like, I close my eyes and then I open it in another dimension and I'm like, oh my God.
Here we go again.
Yeah, it's going to get more intense. And lasted for like 8 hours. So you can imagine, like, I felt like I nearly lost my mind. No, I did not think about food at all.
Wow, that's interesting.
I'd look at my body and it would just be bones.
Wow.
There was like there was no muscle or anything. I was just a skeleton.
So maybe it works well with fasting then. Maybe there's a little
Definitely.
intermittent fasting and then a bit of microdosing. I don't know, something
For 4 days before that, you can't eat. And the reason why they want to do that is because they want you to cleanse out as much of your intestine as possible. So then when you do take the MAO inhibitors and the ayahuasca vine, it can stick to as much of the intestinal wall as possible, allowing you to have like the best trip. So if you're full of shit, literally, you're not going to have the best trip. It inhibits the trip. So the less you have in you, the better. And then that's also like the more you have in you, as soon as you take it, you're going to have to rush to the toilet. So you want to be pretty much on empty during it.
Yeah.
And I think if your body's in a state of ketosis, that's even better.
Okay.
Yeah, because then it's burning your fats that you got on you for energy. So then you've got the energy to use during the ayahuasca ceremony as well. And your intestines are clear. That's probably the best. Like if you're doing that, then you'll have a peak ayahuasca experience, I reckon. Yeah.
All right. Get on there.
Evan, you going to give it a go? Yeah. So what was it about your psychedelic experiences that opened up this new path for you in the world of fungi, the world of mycelium? What?
I think it was just getting interested into, it really did start with the psychedelics because I was looking for this magic. I was looking for magic mushrooms, but on that journey of looking for magic mushrooms, I got onto the subreddit Mycology and started uploading images and looking at other people's images, and it was this little game of like, hey, let's ID, amateur ID identification.
Yep.
It was very fun. It was really like this sort of digital world, this community, but then it was linked to nature. I hadn't had that before. I didn't study biology or anything. And then, just got more interested, started going foraging for edible mushrooms.
Yep.
Realized, hey, let's go, it's mushroom season. Let's go pick some, chanterelles in Finland. Beautiful.
Love chanterelles.
Yellow chanterelles.
This tastes like cheesy bacon.
Autumn chanterelles, the black trumpets. There's in Finnish roskus, haperos. They're like russula, the family russula.
Wow.
And then there's the Lactaria species, the milk-cap species. The saffron milk-cap. And then they've got, the porcinis there, the Boletus edulis and other bolete species.
Is it a really good climate for mushrooms?
Yeah, Finland's, it's moist. It's full of forests.
Mushroom season all year round.
It is, well, yeah, for some. I mean, there's obviously the best time is, autumn, after, from summer till the snow falls. There's some mushrooms that are, they're hiding under the snow. They stay there, and then you see them under the snow. They're being kept there. And then there's some other mushrooms that are in the spring that come up. So like the false morel, which is a deadly one.
The false morel mushroom. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's the what is it? Gyro.
Oof, looks dodgy as.
Where's the
Images?
Gyromitra esculenta? It's so it's deadly if you don't boil it, but it's a 3-star. So the morel mushroom kind of looks
Michelin
like that.
3-star if you boil it,
Yeah, so
or 3-star to death.
it's crazy because it's very common in the mushroom community in Finland that people pick these and eat them. But if you don't parboil it twice or something, what is it, once or twice? Some people do 3 times. You're gonna get severely poisoned. So it's crazy to think that. Well, hang on, you can boil Amanita muscaria. You can boil some of the most poisonous mushrooms, and you'll also remove the toxins, and they become edible.
It's interesting how boiling them they're essentially water soluble. The toxins are water soluble.
Yeah, the heat and the heat, the heat and the water extraction, and so just by basic processing, you can make a lot of this poisonous stuff edible. And I think that's a great example of one deadly mushroom that you don't really hear about much, but it's a choice edible, but it's poisonous if you don't process it properly. So yeah,
processing is so important.
Yeah,
even with like psilocybin, like I'll boil that to extract the psilocin.
Yeah,
because I find that like if you do that, it's a less chance of actually getting nausea or sickness, because you're not you're not ingesting that plant matter, but then
the fiber and
the fiber. But when you boil it, you're extracting the psilocin, and if you actually look at the chemical compound of the psilocin compared to the psilocybin, the psilocin's closer to 5-MeO-DMT. So it's more closer to essentially what is known as the God molecule, and your body will turn that psilocybin into psilocin anyway. So it's actually you're speeding up the process at the same time. So then it's kicking in faster. It's a more cleaner and more like a better high.
That's the painting behind you, isn't it? That's the DMT.
Yes.
Is it? I don't know. I've seen that before, but I don't know if it's a famous one.
Yeah, I've seen something like that when I smoked DMT.
Yeah.
When I was like 22, back a long time ago. You do see stuff like that, entities. It's pretty crazy.
I was ready to do it. I met this. I went to a Myco hack lab. So in Finland, there were these Myco hack labs, which were monthly meetups for mushroom geeks, and it was it was like southwest of the city in some sort of industrial shipping area, and there was an American guy there, and he had a vape, and he said he had DMT. And after the Myco hack lab session finished, we had learnt to make scalpel sterilization coils. This cool guy, Javi, he's a real mushroom geek, IT guy, a really cool guy. He made this sort of coil that you just stick the scalpel inside the coil, and it heats it up like instantly.
Sanitizes it instantly.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Red hot, like, so you don't need a Bunsen burner or a flame to or alcohol or whatever.
Smart.
And so we did a bit of that. We did a bit of culturing, and then afterwards walked out with this guy, and he's like, "Yeah, you want to, and I'm like, all right." By the water, nighttime, and took a hit of his vape or two hits, and nothing happened. And I'm just too much. I guess I'm too nice. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to. I didn't want to tell him like, dude, there's nothing in here. Like I took some big inhale. Like I don't know what else was I supposed to do with the vape.
Did you feel anything?
Nothing.
Really?
But I know what you should feel. It should be these 3 waves, and then the third one's when you break through or something. And I took 2 hits. I didn't breathe out. I held it in for as long as I could, and nothing.
Yep. Well, you did everything properly. That's the way you're supposed to do it.
I don't know what was in his thing, but
maybe there was dregs of DMT left in it. There wasn't enough.
Yeah, maybe. But that was the only time I've had the opportunity, or the moment has arisen, and I haven't been searching for it. But,
okay.
But
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it might happen again for you.
Yeah.
Who knows? When the time's right, the universe works its magic. That's for sure.
Yeah. I guess I don't like to search for those things. They seem to come, maybe. But I did search a lot for mushrooms, so that led to history. But medicinal mushrooms, great overview. Materials are are a good field to be in, but I'm still not at where I think I will be in the future. Yeah.
You've started a non-for-profit regreening like urban spaces and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So
Tell me
that's
more about that. That's interesting.
yeah, that's pretty much turning so that we made this we registered this non-for-profit this year called Taika Metsa or Taimet. So Taika Metsa means magic forest in Finnish, but
Yep.
Taimet, the abbreviation, means seedling, which is a nice little
Beautiful.
play
Do
on
you
the
want to bring
words.
it up so we can have people can have a look, or
It's like we don't.
it's a work in progress.
I mean,
Yeah,
we had our first, so we got a 10,000 euro grant
Cool.
from the university at the start of this year, and
That's
we
beautiful.
actually established our first garden, and we had the grand opening actually 30 days ago. I was already in Australia, so they had
Yep.
we had it was the four of us. I met a soil scientist and a permaculturist and
Yep.
plant guy David, and then Santari, he's a business guy, and Kim's the soil adjunct professor, and we
Yep.
just they had the idea, and I jumped on board because I was like, yeah, this is great. And yeah, we it was good. It was a nice successful year. We established the site. We did a bit of permaculture, so we did a couple of raised beds, and brought in went to my the old company. They donated some native mushroom logs, and we just
Beautiful.
put the logs around. So just turning a space that was just nothing.
Preparing it for mushrooms.
Yeah, bringing in soil biochar, native mushroom logs, lots of different plants, and just bringing value. And then what we do is mobilize community members, so locals, residents, students, anyone interested in that who doesn't maybe have access to land. In Finland, especially Helsinki, a lot of people living in high rise in the city, they don't even have garden. They don't have soil to work. So our idea is to make it like a public access point. You can come and work the land, do whatever you
Community
want,
center.
learn a bit more, get educated about permaculture principles, and maybe even have it as like a social space where we hold events there and bring in some social aspects. So the idea is to localize it in different areas of the city, to also bring in cultural aspects of those regions, because it's a bit of like different cultures are residing in different areas, and how to activate people. It's quite common in Melbourne though. Like you go to some of the communities in Melbourne, and this is already a thing. Like a lot of gardens, St Kilda, and
the St Kilda one, and there's probably a few around Fitzroy, Brunswick.
So
there's one in Frankston.
Melbourne inspires me. Every time I come to Melbourne, I take back a lot of things there, because Melbourne's very progressive, I think. And
so you must be bringing a lot of ideas to
oh
finish
yeah,
then.
if you've got any ideas or anything that's new in Melbourne, it's 10 years ahead is going to be a big thing in Helsinki. I've seen, being in Helsinki now 10 years, and seeing how things are popping up. Like I was telling Evan, like Korean barbecue wasn't big, while it was big in Melbourne, and then it's starting to kick off now in Helsinki.
What about Korean fried chicken? Big there now?
Fried chicken? I don't, yeah, it's probably.
Nene and
Yeah.
Gami. You're going to open up a Gami next day, Evan.
Same with coffee and craft beer. It's all very recent there. So there's these things, and I don't know what it's about, but yeah. So trying to bring a bit more of that back, and
that's good.
Yeah. So the PhD is more just a focus, a way to connect with other fungi experts. The unit is doing some cool stuff. They're making some new foods with oyster mushroom proteins, and we tried one day. We tried like chocolate ice cream made from wood, and flavorings made from oyster mushrooms. Yeah, all these cool.
That's sick.
New food. So it's a nicer place to be. But who knows? In the future, maybe there's some new mushroom companies going on. Then it'd be nice
cool, man,
to pop into those. Yeah.
What future do you see for mycology in the urban development setting?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. There's so this my community. There's this my community and Mycelium Lab. They have some really nice fungal DNA projects. So they're trying to activate communities, residents to whenever you go and find some mushrooms, maybe go on iNaturalist and take a photo, upload it, or even take a sample and bring it back to their lab so they can do some DNA analysis and contribute to the library of the genomes there. And gorilla mycology. This Kane Barlow in Melbourne. I guess he's one of the experts for psilocybe species, and he has gorilla mycology, and he's also started this interesting. It's not specifically related on fungi, but he started this Entheogen project, which is they're trying to like help conserve entheogenic
Research.
plants and species. So that's Kane and Alan Rockefeller. Interesting when I found out Alan Rockefeller is also part of that. He's big in America, and he's been really he's got a lot of cool videos and podcasts, and he does a lot of photography with mushrooms, and contributes a lot. So I see these two guys are really cool examples of how citizen science can infiltrate. They're not traditionally like academics, you know, that went through that way, but
still
more
contributing,
like,
still,
more like guerrilla doing like citizen science and
boots on the ground,
and then like actually changing the way that the scientists see it, and then pushing the science in a direction that's
good.
And I think that's the beauty of mycology. It's like, and it's really great to get into because the field of science is so like it's a really new field, and
it's not such a new field.
Yeah, like
I mean, the beauty about it.
Yeah, the fact that I didn't do any biology, and I can find myself ending up into a position working with fungi.
Yeah,
I think is a testament that like if you're interested in mushrooms and you want to have an impact, like you can definitely.
It's hyper complexifying at the moment, and there's many different avenues for you to kind of work with it. It's like for me, I come from a more of a shamanistic approach to allow people to kind of heal their traumas and stuff through that, just on the side to help people.
Yeah,
and then you're helping people in another way, which is like, figuring out and engineering these solutions that are, these future solutions that can impact our world on a global scale, which is amazing, What advice would you give to someone interested in exploring mycology, whether professional or just for personal interest?
I would say if you're interested in mushrooms, then you're done. Like that's it. Just go with it, because there's so much happening with mushrooms and fungi. Like you have plethora of opportunities and people interested in it. One of the things I first noticed when I started getting interested in mushrooms is like one of the first moments in my life that people were interested in what I was saying, which I always thought was weird, and I was doubting it a lot. I was like, well, maybe I'm not really interested in it. Maybe it's just that other people are interested what I'm talking about. But that was a really interesting phenomena, because it's like I realized that actually no, when you're interested in something and when you're passionate about it, then of course it resonates also with other people. But specifically with mushrooms, like it is quite interesting field now, with a lot of people just very interested in it. Not just magic mushrooms, but
all types.
Yeah, when people start seeing Adidas making shoes
out of mushrooms,
and new meats with mushrooms, and then
all the bloody Silicon Valley people talking about microdosing psilocybin. Other people saying, nah, you got to macrodose that shit. You don't microdose.
I think the microdosing is great. I did a 10-week microdosing when I was growing cubensis in 2017 and drying them in the sauna. Yeah. And I'd go to sleep and I'd kiss them goodnight and I'd have dreams. I had my shotgun fruiting chamber next to the bed. And
beautiful.
And and I just would take a little golden cap. I didn't measure and powder them and do the whole thing, but just, some were a bit stronger than others. And I was just working hospitality then, and it was a very healthy time, a bit of yoga and meditation. I had mountaintop experiences spiritually during that time.
It was a good time, 2017.
Was it?
I think I microdosed around that time too.
Yeah. I wrote in a journal and I had great. Beautiful. And I think back, and I wonder why I probably should do a bit more microdosing of psilocybin,
Yeah, same here. I just keep forgetting because life's so hectic and chaotic.
It
happens. But I've always had such positive experiences from microdosing. Last question.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners learn more about your work or get involved in mycological projects?
Well, spreading spores, I've had it since like there it is. No, that's not it. Baldur's Gate. This thing always pops up.
Is it like a game or something? This is Druids.
Druid
class, symbolic.
Yeah, so I mean, I just share. I like sharing all the cool things with fungi. So probably the easiest is just to go onto the Facebook or I know Facebook is dead and dying, but I've got Instagram, and I post some stuff here, just cool things about, you know, whether it's articles or news stories. I just put put links on the Facebook or the Instagram, but yeah, that's one little organization. I tried to start it up as a like a consultancy or something, but I realized that it's just it's just a way of sharing information. I think for me that's the most important thing.
Sharing information freely, just for the benefit of the people.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
I'll put all your links in the description anyway, so everyone can suss them out easy.
Yeah.
And appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for
you're a really cool guy. And
cheers, you too, man.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be hanging out again. Next time you're down in Melbourne, definitely let me know earlier so we can hang.
Yeah.
And hope everybody got a lot out of this. It was jam packed full about mushrooms. I'm sure a lot of the mushroom lovers would have, they're still listening now and they've hung out till the end. And I appreciate you guys if you're still here. So thank you, and
thank you, man.
See you guys. Bye.
Thanks.